Robbie, Robbie, we got a show to record.
Oh my God, it's so early.
I know.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, and you have COVID?
Yep.
I'm terrible.
Yep.
This is a free podcast. Why are we doing this?
We're talking very close to each other.
Nose to nose. Robbie.
Steven?
Robbie.
Yes?
Robbie.
Yep. Am I having a fever dream? A Steven dream? Stever?
Okay, listen, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, you guys, and we're recording this podcast. We're trying something out, hopefully to get this recorded before we go into our daily lives, and we're going to talk about some cartoons. We're going to have some fun. Do you remember what we talk about?
Yes, it's everything I dreamed of. Some how you doing going on, where we talk about my COVID and the heat, and you watch Sea Beast. Then we have some animation news of the month, kind of. Nintendo buying out a studio. Netflix doing the same thing. The San Diego Comic-Con announcement for Marvel's upcoming animated series that's coming up. And then Craig McCracken is bringing back Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
And we have the return of a segment that terrifies me.
They say if you love something, to let it go, as far as like clearing your house. And you constantly do that, and it keeps coming back.
Wait, do you say as far as clearing your house, is this like Marie Kondo? Is Can you imagine if that's what happened? I don't need this book anymore. Just let it go. And if it loves you, it will return. Oh, that's something I should say. This is an explicit episode.
Yeah.
We really only swear a couple times, but we just decided that why? Why would we not? Let's just do it.
It's morning. It's just a time that people shout in their trafficy cars.
I actually kind of like that. It's like a forecast. It's a little trafficy out today.
What's the traffic like? Oh, it's very trafficy. Speaking of commuting, I gotta go to work.
I want to say welcome to episode 285 of the Rubber and the Animation Podcast, and we're calling this one Unctuous Beast. It's like you like saying these show titles with me now.
Yeah.
You know what? You want to say it? Why don't you say it? Why don't you do it?
All right.
Episode 285 of the Rubber and the Animation Podcast, and we're calling this one
Unctuous Beast.
Beautiful.
Unctuous is just so fun to say.
Yeah, totally. By the way, the definition of unctuous, in case anyone is wondering, excessively or ingratiatingly flattering. Also, oily.
Is it a picture of me?
I'm Don Bluth.
I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry. I won't say that.
Definitely go for that.
And you're listening to...
Go. 3, 2, 1, go. Away, heat wave. There's my intro joke.
I've been singing that song by Rob Thomas and who's the guy, the guitarist?
Oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
The fact that I knew Rob Thomas.
For real? Yes. I'll give you a clue. It starts with an S.
San Diego.
San Diego Anna. Yeah, exactly. That's it. You nailed it. It's Santana.
Carlos Santana.
There you go. Ridiculous.
No, but that's the wrong one.
How about the Vandellas? How about Heat Wave?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Nothing. Sure. What about Love Is Like a Heat Wave? Phil Collins.
Or Hot Town, Summer in the City, Bright My Neck, getting dirty and gritty. Oh, God, looking for a penny.
What about Summertime?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about In the Summertime?
When the weather is fine. Oh, God. Heard that crack in my voice? I wouldn't know. I haven't been out, so I don't know if it's
Sweat my balls right off.
I guess I've been listening to the radio edit this whole time. I mean, it is obviously hot in my apartment, but I haven't stepped outside.
Oh my God, it's
to throw out the garbage.
I mean, it's way too hot. The garbage smell also in the city.
Hot Garbage by Calvin Klein.
Hot garbage in the city.
Back of my neck got garbage on it.
It's been over 90 degrees. Mm-hmm. Like every day. I just checked the 10-day forecast. It's going to be 90 degrees for the next 10 days. It's awful. It's terrible. And you know what? Here's the thing. Not to be one of these dry heat, humid heat guys, but humid heat is way worse. It's muggy. It's like,
oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We
had thunderstorms here.
Having a bag over your face the whole time. Someone's suffocating you. But I didn't know that until I talked to someone about the heat. They remind me that it's not the heat, it's the humidity. I didn't know that.
Right. I don't want to be one of those guys. I don't want to be one of those. Like,
and then you got to constantly act like they just discovered that. You got to be like, oh yeah, I know. Yeah. I had that same conversation my whole life. And this is what I hate about New York. It's just like there's a small little window of perfect weather, and then it's gone. And then it's too cold and it's too hot.
See, I like the variety of weather in the Northeast. I really like it because I feel like it's almost, well, okay, it's not split anymore, but it used to be basically like perfectly split. 3 months. You get 3 months of summer, you get 3 months of fall, you get 3 months of winter, you get 3 months of spring. And it was great. In spring, it was kind of like, it was a little warm. You get some rainy, that's where all the greenery starts growing. It's all very nice. In the summer, it gets a little too hot. But the thing is, sometimes it's nice to be too hot. Saunas exist for a reason. It's nice going in hot springs. Being too hot is okay sometimes for a short amount of time. It's just like being too cold. Sometimes you want like nice, refreshing, ice cold water splashed on your face or something like that. But when it's relentless for months on end, that's the problem. We usually would only have, this month, we would only have August to be awful. It would just be terrible. But this heat wave, so we're actually recording this at the end of July, but this will go up, I believe, in August to the wider public. It goes up. All these episodes go up a week early on Patreon. That sounded really creepy. I'm sure.
Well, not even subliminal messaging. It's just directly shooting.
No, it's not subliminal messaging. It's hyperliminal messaging. It's just telling you.
Yeah.
Patreon. In July, for like all of July, the last 2 weeks has been this crazy heat wave. But across the entire United States, it's been, I don't think any place has been under 85. I saw in Europe, in a lot of places in Europe that don't normally get over into the hundreds are, over 100, up to 105. And you know what? AC, not the most common thing in Europe.
Oh, yeah, I know. And it's funny because when we were in Vegas, the temperatures was like 111 degrees and like...
That's funny.
I've been through it, but Leanne had, she's from England, so it's just like, it was just torture for both of us, but I think her more because we went to go to the neon exhibit, which is outside, and it's just like, it's just dry. Like you look like, I don't know if you ever seen SpongeBob.
Well, I don't know if you've heard this, but it's not the heat; it's the humidity.
Oh,
yeah.
I was wondering.
So you should have been fine.
Yeah, as long as you know that. I don't know if you ever saw SpongeBob at the end when they were under a light heating up and they just dried up and turned into actual physical, real objects.
That's what you felt like?
Yeah, I felt like that.
You felt like a California raisin?
Yeah. But you know what I noticed? I sweat less because I stopped eating so much American cheese.
What?
It's something I didn't know.
That's not a thing. That is not a thing.
I cut it
in the world. Who said this?
Well,
I've never heard that in my life.
I cut it from my diet, and for some reason, I think I read somewhere that like it could be linked to that. I'm not saying I was sweating this whole time.
What in the world? No. Cheese. What?
What?
What in the world? What are you?
It's just an observation. I know. It
is too early for this nonsense. I can't think clearly. I like the idea that you just like the moment you take out, let's say, does it work for string cheese as well? Like you have one of those string cheese, you just take it and just eat it, and then you just just start sweating like crazy
before it even like gets on my mouth. Gets in.
What would possibly be the link between? Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm implying that you're wrong. What I'm saying is, okay, so you read this somewhere, or she read this somewhere. What is possibly the link between American cheese and sweat? Aside from
there's something that
it tastes like it was made with sweat.
Yeah, maybe that's
everyone comes down on American cheese. This is just like not real cheese. No, it is real cheese. It's just like weird.
Yeah.
Well, we got to start making cheese that's easy to ship and package and send out everywhere. Also want something that's very meltable, because that's something that's very sought after. That's where American cheese comes in. Basically, it is cheese. It's just processed in a way that puts it out on this sheet. It's kind of like if you were to process brie. Brie's all melty. You open it, they smell like feet. And you cut them and they just kind of ooze out and everything. And everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing. It's amazing cheese. But then you see this yellow cheese. That's number one. Yellow has been determined that is bad. Apparently blue is fine. But you get this yellow cheese. That's bad.
Yeah.
And then you put it in this like single service thing that's in a singlet is what they call it. And it's like, oh my God, it's processed. And anything processed is bad. You put it on, it melts beautifully. It's so, I'm going to use the word unctuous.
Ooh.
It's so.
I've never said that word.
Like,
I'm going to say it now.
Unctuous.
For the first time
it's a good word.
on the Rubber Onion podcast, I'm going to say this word.
Do it.
Unctuous.
Unctuous. Man, it's good. It's a good word.
What about cheese in a can?
I dare not conflate the two. I mean, whipped cream is to Ready Whip as Kraft cheese is to cheese in a can.
Yeah. But you can make it look really fancy on a Ritz cracker, you know?
I mean, anything looks fancy on a Ritz cracker.
Should put it on a Ritz.
Put it on the Ritz.
I guarantee sales went up on cheese cans after the Goofy movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that cheese can scene, but...
Cheddar! Oh! Cheddar Wizard!
God, cartoons make cheese look so good. I mean, cheese
cartoons make food look really, really good. Yeah. Because why wouldn't it be? You're drawing your food fantasy. You know what I mean? It could either be the most disgusting thing, or it could be the most desirable thing. Dare I say, unctuous?
Ooh, I guess that's the name of the podcast today.
Unctuous?
Unctuous.
It's not bad.
But even gross cartoon food looks good. I mean, when you watched The Lion King and you saw Pumbaa and Timon eat bugs, didn't you kind of want to eat it?
No.
I mean, they're not food, really, but
I don't really know. No, I didn't. I don't really know what to say about that.
With some cheese, American cheese.
Do you still have your taste and smell? By the way, for anyone listening, I always had it. Our good friend Robbie got COVID.
Oh, and it is a good time to let out this cough I've been holding in.
Okay.
Cough, not fart.
That's just a carryover, right? That's a
yeah. That's just like
it sounds a little dry, you know.
Yeah, but oh boy, I don't know what everyone's been talking about. This COVID it was not great. It was not fun.
Both you and Leanne had it, yeah.
Yeah. Just been beatboxing.
I had it, like two weeks before? No, no, it was more like 3 or 4 weeks before you. I had it as well, and I had a much more mild case, but it hit pretty quickly and then kind of went away pretty quickly. Like I had those chills. You know, like body chills. I felt like my bones, my joints were hurting.
Yeah.
I didn't really get the cough as much. I had a sniffle, and then I did get a cough, but it was one of those dry, annoying coughs where it felt like you eat popcorn and you get like a tiny little flake of popcorn stuck in your throat. That's what it felt like.
I hate that. That's so annoying, man. I also like. I had a 101 fever one night.
No.
I had 100 and something fever the other night.
No.
Yeah, it sucked. I kept giving updates on Instagram stories. I don't know if you noticed, but I put the worst. I kept looking for the worst filters and just be like, "Hey,
yeah,
everyone.
I saw it." You know how I am with snot stuff, and that filter, disgusting. I did not appreciate it.
Oh, I feel fine. I feel great. I look great.
I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, so we do is just like, are you even sick? I was like, yeah, I could still have a sense of humor and be sick. I'm not faking it.
I mean, I feel like that's what humor's made for.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the time. That's the time that you have to be humorous.
that's true.
Is when you're sick. You gotta make yourself feel better.
If you don't laugh, you get sicker. That's what they always say.
Well, they say that laughter is the best medicine.
That's
So
true.
really, you're curing yourself. Screw this like hydroxy. Are we gonna swear in this episode? Let's just swear on this. Fuck that hydroxychloroquine stuff. Yeah, we haven't really done a real sweary episode in a while. I thought we were going to do it on the Beavis and Butthead episode, and actually as I was editing it, as I was putting it together, man, I put a lot more effort into that one than I was expecting that I was going to. It was really fun to put it together, to be honest. Is this whole episode just going to be how you doing? We haven't talked at all about the stories, but this is fun.
Yeah. We're just, we're talking
It's
cheese
also-
and COVID.
It's also 8:41 in the morning right now. So,
yeah, I think we have just like fresh brains and fresh ideas on cheese and
fresh brains.
nice unctuous brains.
Unctuous brains. I was thinking about this if we did, because it's such an early morning thing. I was thinking, remember when we did the Rubber Indian After Dark, when we recorded one at, I don't know, it was like it was like midnight or something, right? We recorded a really late night podcast, and we called it Rubber Indian After Dark. Or After Hours. Did we say After Dark or After Hours? We did like Rubber Onion
After Hours.
Before Sunrise, or Before Light, something like that.
That sounds like a Marvel kind of
Before Light.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Spider-Man Before Light.
I mean, listen, we'll come back to that. I will say that on that note of laughter is the best medicine, it just makes you feel good no matter what's going on in your life. Please watch Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Oh, I forgot about that attached title.
Yeah, I mean, it's attached title the way that it's attached onto the shell, but it's great. It's wonderful. There's a lot of awful, awful things that are going on in the world, and it feels like it is surrounding you all the time. I constantly feel like whenever you're looking for something to talk about, you talk about something, and right on the other side of that is this really, really heavy subject. Like, you joke about it, and you kind of like butt up against it every once in a while. Kind of just say, oh yeah, this terrible thing, and also this terrible thing, and it's like bumper bowling. You're just kind of like bouncing back and forth between these things. Like, do we want to get into it? Do we want to hop over to the next lane? And do we want to really get into the gutter? Anyway, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is a delightful movie. I only say this because I think next week the plan is, I'll say this just so that we make it come true. I saw Marcel the Shell. You did not yet.
No.
We were going to get together to watch Mad God, and then you had work, and then COVID, which you worked through, by the way, which I feel like at some point we're going to have a Hot Cocoa show where we're going to talk about career and stuff like that, and I kind of want to dig into that kind of thing too, the expectations of work and things like that, and your own personal responsibility things. So I'm thinking next week we talk about Marcel the Shell and Mad God, two stop motion things, two very different tones, and two very indie projects that,
I didn't know
that came out
Marcel
at the
Shell,
same time.
I didn't know Marcel the Shell was stop motion. I thought it was.
I cannot wait to talk about this movie because it just sounds like you're saying Marcel the Shell.
Marcel. I thought it was
Marcel.
imitating stop motion. I thought it was like a CGI.
It's actually stop motion. Yeah, we'll totally talk about that when we get to it. Anyway, I just want to let people know you should watch it in the next week if you want context for what we talk about, because I really do want to talk about it, and I want to have like not necessarily some spoilery talks or like getting, but I do want to talk about like the overall themes and things like that. You really should watch the movie. I encourage everyone to watch it. It'll make you feel better. You'll cry happy tears. It'll be great.
I want to sue them because I had a project called Rocky Rock, and it was a rock with googly eyes that someone skipped in the lake, and then they had to find his way back.
That actually is kind of like a project that Kirsten Lepore, the animation director of Marcel the Shell, worked on, combined with one of her shorts. She worked on Everything Everywhere All at Once, or I guess she was part-time. She did some visual effects stuff. I don't know what she worked on. My assumption is she did the rocks, the googly eye rocks. That's what I think she probably worked on because it fits with her other thing. She did Bottle, that animated short, which is about a snowman and a sand.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
We're sending messages, and then they decided to meet in the middle of the ocean, and they walked into the ocean.
I just made that up, actually. I didn't really have a skipping stone. That's a better name.
Skipping stones. Skipping stones. That's a Splinter singing. Yeah. Listen, I only budgeted out like 10, 15 minutes for us just chatting, and then we'll get into other things. I don't care. You guys don't understand. He had COVID. I haven't been able to hang out with him in like 20 days, right? You went on a trip, you got caught up with work, and then you got COVID. I haven't seen you at all. I mean, I've seen you on Zoom.
Yeah, I've
seen you from tits up.
Yeah. Tits up. Something down. I don't know.
Is it Ice Cube?
we had two movie events I couldn't go to, and
that's true. You missed a wonderful one.
Oh, I know. But I am 100% better. Hold on, excuse me. I'm 100% better. I'm ready to mingle.
For anyone who wants to know, the movie was called Nemesis. Please look it up. It's wonderful schlock. It's ridiculous. And a very early showing from Thomas Jane. I'm Tom Jane. Oh, another Arrested Development reference. And Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat is also in it.
Is this the one that had the stop motion robot?
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, the stop motion robot animated by the Chiodo brothers, who also worked on Marcel the Shell.
Wow.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, all that. Yeah. Look at that. All came back around. I guess now it's time to get to our movie review. I don't know what music I'm going to play here. I know at some point, we used to do these like little mini reviews where it could be like a TV show or a movie or something like that. We just kind of get it in there. I think one of the first ones that we did was, what was it, Danger Mouse?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Here's the song.
Well, what are we talking about?
Rubber Onion Movie Review. Rubber Onion Movie Review. Rubber Onion Movie Review. We got to talk about movies.
Is that the let's all go to the lobby thing? Okay, got it. Well, what I'm talking about now is Sea Beast on Netflix. Did you see it?
I did not.
Why not?
So if I this is the aspects that I like about it. I like the the Sea Beast attacking the ship stuff. So if it was that, I think I'd be a little more intrigued. But I don't know if I'm too invested in the pirate and the little girl story, which is the main.
How do you know you didn't even see it?
Well, when I saw the trailer, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like a cute thing. But like, but I love like Ray Harryhausen kind of,
Oh yeah,
a monster ship. If it was stop motion, I think that would be even more fun. But it's not completely off my list of things I would see because of I like seeing, monsters attacking ships and stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, yes. Okay. You know what? With that, let me tell you.
Yeah.
There is an opening Sea Beast battle that goes on for a long time, and it was incredible. It was so much fun to watch. There is a lot of like sea beastie kind of fights that are in here. There's a beast versus ship, beast versus person, I guess. There's like beast versus beast. I wrote down a list when I was watching. Let me give you these things. Obviously, you get your Godzilla, right? There's even a music cue in that sounds a little bit like Godzilla. Moby Dick, How to Train Your Dragon, King Kong, Jaws, Love and Monsters. I don't know if you saw it, but it was good. Moana, Brave, Pirates of the Caribbean, Princess Bride, and even a little bit of Peter Pan in there at one point, which I don't know if anyone will pick that up, but it's
no Cthulhu.
I mean, sure, but I'm going off of like movies and things. I mean, I guess it showed up in Lovecraft Country, but no, I'm going with those kind of. And I guess you could say Beast from 20,000 Fathoms if you want to go the Ray Harryhausen route. But those are all the things that kind of jumped out. I mean, there's an obvious one with Jaws, very obvious. Moby Dick. Very obvious, right? There's some King Kong bits that are kind of in there. There's some Godzilla bits in there. It's almost like at one point you're looking at a beast like Godzilla. Another point you're looking at it like it's King Kong. Another point you're looking at it like it's Jaws. It's like a pastiche of all these creature features that have existed through the ages, and they kind of put them together as like, what are the things that we really like about this and like about this? The opening battle was awesome. It was very cool. I totally get what you're saying, that you're worried about like, oh yeah, I want to see that kind of thing, but I don't really want to see like the pirate is, as you said, it's not a pirate, but the guy and the girl, and I mean, those kinds of stories can be a little annoying. I will say that this does not fall as far into those tropes as you would be worried they would fall into.
Okay.
Every time you think it's going to go down into, it's like, okay, I kind of know where this is going. Even if you do predict where the story goes, the way that they get there, fun and unique and different. I think it takes a little bit more of a modern take on some of the, like, people are aware of how annoying it can be to have a kid along. And especially there's this little creature, this little blue squishy thing that's there. It's in the trailer. But that cute creature that kind of comes along, and that can get really annoying if it's not actually cute, you can go too stupid, you can go too human. So you have to fit it right in between there, where it's more like a really lazy pug, like those, that would be like the zone that you want to hit for or like a really happy, just lovable. I mean, I guess I go dog. I like dogs, but you know what I'm saying? You just want to fit in that zone where it's not a human, it's not given it too much personification. And it does that very well. The girl's very good. The voice acting is very good. The characters are good. Even characters that like you have one thought about ends up turning into a different way. I don't want to get too much into it, but they kind of, like being on a boat. They go with the waves. They slide one way and then they slide the other way. It's like that's where the story goes. You kind of are along for this ride. It's a great adventure. The character trait moments, the animation is really good. I was really surprised as I was watching it. There's a lot of little touches. The poses in particular, aside from one that I'll just mention right now, just to get it out of the way. Let me describe this audio-wise, and you tell me if you understand exactly the thing that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Step forward, point down forcefully, stand up straight.
Step forward.
Point down forcefully, stand up straight. That's why, yes, it's the point down move. It's this one.
Ah, okay.
It's
down here immediately. They do the.
It's I'm going this far and no further. It's
and then the arm kind of swings
down. Exactly. It's the arm is up, the fingers down. You're pointing straight down, crossing the body, standing up straight. Like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
that kind of move. Let's just have let's have a 5-year embargo on that move. That is in every animated movie that has some sort of adventure aspect to it. It's just one of those things. Like, once you see it, it was like when I was watching Archer and I saw the head head parallax shake move left and right.
Yeah.
And once I caught on to that, I was like, every single sentence has this left and right head shake move. Every single one. And it got really distracting. I really like Archer. But once I saw it, I was like, oh, that is just a season where they had a dial and they had this.
Yeah, they got really excited by
ability. It. They had this ability in the rig. And they're like, yeah, it gives it more dimensionality. Let's just throw that in there. And it was every single time someone said something. And I had to train myself to not look at it. Anyway, that's that kind of move, that point down, stand up straight. But aside from that, really great. The facial expressions are good. It's subtler than you might think. The animation, and the animation was done by Sony. Sony Pictures Imageworks, right? I mean, they've been doing really good stuff. I mean, obviously, the obvious one is, your Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Obviously, that's the big one that people will think about. They also, unfortunately, did the Emoji Movie, but let's just move past that.
Oh, and they were supposed to do Popeye.
Yeah. Oh man, I started watching the Primal. I said I was gonna, and that second half of that first season, that's got some good stuff. I cannot wait to catch up until I'm probably gonna do that today. But let's go back to Sea Beast. Animation's very good. Here's another thing, just for maybe people who might want to watch it and they think, oh, there's going to be a lot of nighttime stuff. There is, but the colors are very good. The dark scenes are still visible if you're watching in the daytime. You know how much light gets into my living room. Doesn't matter if I close the blinds or whatever. There's a lot of light in here. I could still see the stuff at night. So it's good for Netflix. It's good for home viewing. There's a lot of drinking jokes, which I guess makes sense. I don't know. At that time, they're like hunters or something. There's a cut that implies that these characters got blackout drunk, which I just thought was funny. I don't usually, you see someone, it's like a cut in time where someone like drinks and then you cut and then they're waking up. Like, oh, that they just got blackout drunk. Yeah. They passed out. And then, I don't know, they say ass in the movie. Oh. Don't know that really matters on that. But there also is, we'll say, you could see, it's an adventure movie. You don't usually see a main character who is a child in an adventure movie have blood at any point. And there's some blood that comes, that you see like from the child in the movie. So it's an adventure movie that isn't, I definitely don't think it's too far for kids at all. I think it's very good for kids, but it is one of those where I feel like, okay, now we're getting a little less precious about stuff and, getting a little bit more into respecting the idea that this is, they're beasts. This is the ocean. This is, it's serious stuff.
Just enough.
Have I sold it so far?
Yeah. You said they say ass and kids bleed.
Exactly. That's the most important part.
I think a kid would see that and be like, "Oh, that's like me when I was in the playground the other day and I fell and I scraped my knee, and I was bleeding just like this kid." So maybe they won't. I mean,
you have to. I mean, you have to understand that, like, obviously, blood exists. It's just a weird thing to not. Just when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's different. That's unique." I don't know why. I think it actually says more about the movies that I'm relating this to. That was a surprising thing to me. But the action's very good. The characters are good. All the characters actually are good. Even the slimy, villainous ones. I mean, they're slimy, but they don't go too far. They're like, yes, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You get it, but they're not in it long enough to, really distract you.
One thing when I was watching the trailer was the those yellow monster things, and what kind of made me kind of not interested was that they look like squeaky bathtub toys.
They look like Peeps. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So it's just like they
actually
plastic,
that scene looks a lot. Oh, I understand. I get what you're saying. Okay, fair enough. They have that. They have that kind of rendering to it. I think that maybe the smaller ones, yeah, sure, they could have had maybe a little more. I think all of those were supposed to look, a little plasticky, a little water balloony. I think the cool thing is when you see the big main sea beast, the big red one, it looks very smooth from far away, but obviously you see it up close a lot, and it has more texture on it. So much that they like characters can actually like grab onto like crevices and creaks and things that, you know, it's like little mini wrinkles, and it's a kind of a nice touch. Yeah. I can't believe I didn't even say this. Pinocchio. Did I say Pinocchio? It's got a bit of Pinocchio in there as well. You'll see all that. A bit of Finding Nemo. It's like just take a little bit of that, take a little bit of this, but it doesn't feel copied. You know, it doesn't feel like that as much. It just feels reminiscent. Oh yeah, of all these other things. There is one scene, and it is in the trailer, but the kid has to shout to like a group of people. The kid's like super far away, and I just imagined. I mean, you've been watching Barry, but just reminded me of that scene with Barry, where Fuchs is like talking to a group of people, and they're all like, "What is he? Is he talking to us, or is he on the phone? I can't hear him because he's so far away, and he's talking as though." In a movie or a TV show, he's not talking loud enough so that they can hear it. And when she was talking, I was just like, nobody would be able to hear this little girl like super far away. Yeah, she's a kid. Her voice is not going to carry that much. I just thought that was funny.
Oh, so they made that? Yeah, there's a lot of shows where people.
No, they didn't make the joke. They didn't make the joke. Okay. I just saw it, and I was like, this wouldn't. Yeah.
I watched so many shows.
But by that point, it doesn't matter.
Two characters are in a loud club, and they're just talking like this. Like, so what do you think? Blah, 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 blah.
Helicopters are my thing. People are in helicopters. Yeah. They're just having a chat. Like, nope, that's not happening. Skydiving. Yeah. You know, people even right in front of someone, just like talking in front of someone on skydiving. Nope, not happening. There's actually a Ship of Theseus reference in the movie. Do you know that old philosophical thing, Ship of Theseus?
No.
It's the idea of like you have a ship. Theseus is a ship, you know, through a lot of like turmoil, right? It gets like broken up, and they have to repair it, and they, you know, yada yada yada. You replace the mast, you replace the siding, you replace the, you know, whatever they call that steering wheel. You replaced all that stuff. It's the same ship, but after a while, if you've replaced everything, is it the same ship? And it's simpler. There was another example of that, which was an axe. You have an axe. You break the handle of the axe and you replace it. And then you're using that axe and you break the head of the axe and you replace it. Is it still the same axe?
Yeah.
So they throw that in kind of early on, and it has a larger thematic element, which I just thought was kind of cool. I like that little philosophical thought experiment thing.
But did they discover...
Like what is a thing?
In the end, did they discover the most important ship?
Is it friendship?
Yep.
They did, actually. Yes. It's spoilers.
Oh, I thought they were all dying at the end.
Well, that happens too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They discover friendship, and then immediately, just out of nowhere, an asteroid hits the planet.
Wow, you wouldn't think it would have been a sea beast. That would
right? Yeah, but nope. They just take a hard left turn. I mean, they went like St. Elsewhere.
They just setting up for a sequel for
hard left turn.
Space Beast.
Right. Space Beast. That's not bad. I kind of like that. Anyway, you should check it out. Oh, the water effects are very good too. And early on, obviously, you know it's fully animated. You're watching it and just going, "Wow, that looks like real water." It's just it's just a very small, simple bit that it just occurred to me how much better we got with water. The main guy that you saw there is Carl Urban. And if you've ever seen The Boys, same accent. Like, it's basically just Butcher from The Boys.
Okay.
Yeah. The girl, Maisie, is Zaris Angel Hater. I don't know how you pronounce the last name. Hator. The big captain guy is Jared Harris, which he's always that guy. I think Jared Harris has been getting a lot of stuff. If you saw Chernobyl, he was in that. He's awesome. He's in Foundation, if you have Apple TV. He was Moriarty in the Sherlock, the Guy Ritchie Sherlock movies. And the director is Chris Williams. Do you know who Chris Williams is?
The name is very familiar.
Right. So he was, I think he was co-director on Moana. I want to get this right. Yeah, he was co-director on Moana. He directed Big Hero 6, which also kind of get, you get the idea of these creature things. Baymax was really fun. And he directed Bolt. That was the one before that. So his first directing job for a movie was Bolt. Then he directed Big Hero 6. Then he was co-director of Moana. There's a lot of Moana feeling in this one. And then Sea Beast.
I wonder if he.
It was just really, it was really good. It was really fun. It wasn't a movie that I think is it's not like top 10 movie or whatever, but I was really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I was kind of like looking forward. I like creature features. I do. But I thought maybe it might be. I was pleasantly surprised the way I was with How to Train Your Dragon, although I think I like How to Train Your Dragon more than I like this.
Yeah. Damn. All right. I mean, it's on Netflix. Don't have to walk to a theater.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. That's the thing. That's exactly my point. My point is it is a perfect Netflix viewing, although I actually feel like with that opening battle, I mean, really, if you're not sold after that opening battle, you're going to get, I think, like 2 or 3 more of those kinds of things. So when you watch that opening battle, if you like it, just stick it through. You'll see a few more things like that. But the opening battle, if you're not into it just shut it off. Because if all you're looking for is battles, that opening battle is really, really good. And then there's a couple other really good ones later.
Look at that. I was saying, since he
look at that.
Since he worked on Moana, could they recycle some of the water from that? Like the plug-in. Oh, I have the plug-in from that last movie I did.
Different company, right? You got Disney making Moana, and you got Sony. Actually, Sony did really good water for. Didn't they do Open Season? Say what you want about the movie. The movie's its own thing, but I think they did Open Season. I remember Ashton that Kutcher
being and Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, we don't need to say anything about the movie, but yeah, no, I remember Open Season when it came out. That was one of the things I went, oh wow, look at that. I wasn't expecting good looking water.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even at the time, I was just thinking, oh, Disney, Pixar, maybe they can do that kind of thing. When Sony came out with, I think it was their first movie, wasn't it? I think it was. I think Open Season, the reason I watched it was because this was the first attempt at doing a full animated movie through Sony Pictures ImageWorks.
Yeah.
And they came out with that with the water, and I was like, oh, it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine what the. Oh, I know there was that surfing penguin movie that
surfing penguin movie
that experimented with water.
Yeah, no, that was really great, and the handheld camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. It was almost like a video game. Speaking of video games,
Surf's Up is the one that you're talking about. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I got confused.
Okay. Feet. Well, you don't need to go. You don't need to go. Speaking of, because okay, that's it. That's my review.
Oh yeah.
For Sea Beast, and I think now it's time for Animation News of the Week. I can't really yell that much in the morning. But anyway, Animation News of the Week, of course, this is not technically of the week. It's a little bit more like the month, I guess. We got a couple stories here that are tied together and a couple more that are a little bit like offshoots. So I think we thread them together. But we are going to try to get through these in a reasonable amount of time as opposed to what we've been doing recently, which is like an hour per story or something. We got a few of them we're going to get through, and
yeah, much like Super Mario when he gets that star, and oh no, you know how there's a timer in the corner. Animation stories. Nintendo is finally buying an animation studio, and that animated studio is Dynamo Studios. So as you know, they're working with who does the Minions? God dang it.
Yeah.
I'm failing already.
Yeah.
Oh, Illumination. So right now they're doing a
Yeah.
Super Mario movie with Chris Pratt as. So I just bit my tongue when I said that. What does that mean? It's a sign. Chris Pratt as the voice
This
of,
is so much fun for me.
Super Mario, and and Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia as the voice of Luigi. Well, all right. Well, okay. This is separate. I don't know why I'm spreading out into this whole thing, but I'm dying, much like Mario does. And okay. Nintendo brought an animation studio. Now, this is separate from what they're doing with Illumination and the Super Mario movie, I believe.
Yes, correct.
There is fears that Nintendo is worried that this movie might fail, and perhaps they want to be in charge of their own kind of product, and so they're going to start producing their own animated series, movies. But they could be also just riding coattail of the success of Sonic the Hedgehog. Hedgehog.
Do you think honestly that that's the reason that they're scared that the Mario movie is not going to do well?
That could, I don't know, it could be a concern, but also why not make your own studio where you can kind of capitalize on that? I'm surprised Disney is not buying it already.
Yeah, my thought was that it was more for TV animation as opposed to movie. So they have this, as you already said, they have this Mario movie that's going to come out, and doing a full feature is a lot to undertake if you've never really dipped your toe in there. And I mean, a show is as well, but I feel like what they might be, they're not just buying Dynamo Pictures. They're buying Dynamo Pictures, and then they are changing the name into Nintendo Studios. Yeah. So they're buying it wholesale, like it'll all be theirs. Dynamo is based in Tokyo, and it provides motion capture for games and anime and stuff like that. It's worked on things like Death Stranding, I guess, Metroid Other M. I'm not much of a gamer, so I'm not like up on everything, but basically it purchased 100% of its shares. They're owning the whole thing. And this is my favorite thing. I saw this on Kotaku. The company said, quote, "The acquisition will have only a minor effect on Nintendo's results for this fiscal year," which is just like it ain't no thing. But for Nintendo, but for Dynamo, it's like, well, you just bought our whole company. It's like a bit of a dig.
Yeah.
It was easy. We just saw this little thing. We just decided to buy it.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't necessarily have to be, because if they're providing motion capture and CG stuff for games, it could also be that they're buying them to, I don't know, do something like, cutscenes or something. You don't know exactly what it's going to be. They're just buying it, but it does seem like their goal is probably to create more series. That's my guess. Because that seems to be a little bit more what they're inclined to do.
Yeah, I mean, with multiverse, stuff like that, it just seems kind of fitting to kind of take advantage of that. And they are IP characters that are very recognizable.
Now, which IP do you think they would come out? They've already had shows. They've had Super Mario, they've had Zelda. Like, what shows do you think they should do? I think we even had didn't we have a Donkey Kong show at one point?
Oh, yeah. I used to watch that.
What shows, what IP do you think that they should use for their first TV show, if they're really going that route?
Pac-Man,
that's it. Oh, there was a Pac-Man animated show also.
Yeah. There's also Kirby. I think people really like Kirby.
That's what I was saying. Yes, Kirby. I think Kirby, because there's a new game. People like Kirby. Kirby's kind of cute. I think also his power just looks, it's very visual. It's a very good thing for animation, I think. Yeah, totally. Kirby, I think. Yeah.
There's a new thing now where he takes on, he eats something and turns into the shape of whatever he eats. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, it feels like they're taking that idea of Mario with the hat.
Yeah,
like he puts the hat on something and then he like turns into a Mario version of it or something. I'm like, oh, okay. I never played it. I guess it's a convention. It's a game convention. I just liked classic Kirby. I don't want to be like old man Brooks over here, but I liked classic Kirby.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'll probably play this game. I haven't played it yet, but I'll probably play the game. See how it is. That could be fun.
Yeah, maybe have some adult content like Conker's Bad Fur Day. You remember that?
No.
It was kind of like their maybe Fritz the Cat or something. It wasn't too bad. It was just like a little swearing and some, sexually suggestive things in there. There's a lot of poop. I remember that.
There's a lot of... I mean, listen, that could also be the title of this show.
There's a lot of poop. There is a
and a lot of love.
Unctuous amount of poop.
Ew, no. You know what could be fun though, actually? So they're making the Mario movie.
Yeah.
What if they did a Wario TV show?
Oh.
That could be fun, right?
A Waluigi.
Oh. Well, yes, yes, you could go that route. So I do like. I think
they are doing a sitcom with King Cooper.
King Koopa.
Koopa, yeah, hanging with Mr.
Did you
Koopa.
say Cooper? King Cooper hanging with Mr. Koopa. Wonderful. I think that having another turn at Donkey Kong Country could be really fun. But if you're going to go that route, why not do Star Fox?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Star Fox would be good, right?
Yeah.
And they do CG, right? So you could make it, I think if you made it look like that old, what was the chip called? I forget what the chip was called.
Oh, I forget.
They had remember it was like Star Fox with the special chip that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just crap. I'm sure that it actually did something, but I don't know. I think it just was something to sell.
Oh,
we got a special chip.
Duck Hunt? Do they do that?
I mean, I don't know what you could do with Duck Hunt, because also you can't like make the ducks into a thing because you're just killing them. I guess it would. And then do you see the hunter, right? Because that's you. I don't think that would work as much. That's a stupid idea, Rob.
Sorry.
And you're stupid. That was bad, and you should feel bad.
I already see the dog peeking out of the bushes laughing at me. And then you always just try to shoot the dog.
Well, what was the rabbits? Rabbids?
Was that Nintendo?
Is that owned by Nintendo?
I don't think so.
Because they had Rabbids are in everything. I know that they had that Mario versus Rabbids. It was like the XCOM type game.
Oh, well, they do a Super Smash Brothers series, kind of like Celebrity Deathmatch. But
oh god, I was just thinking just now. Well, it would be like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and I was just thinking how sad I was when I saw the new Mortal Kombat movie. I was like, they're finally making a Mortal Kombat movie. They're gonna make it rated R. It's gonna be on HBO Max. During the pandemic, I was like, this is the perfect time. Then I clicked and I watched it, and I was like, oh, there's no tournament.
Oh yeah, aren't they doing a sequel? And like.
I'm sure that they thought they were going to do a sequel, and I'm sure that they are doing a sequel. But first of all, it wasn't that great. They created a new character that was like, he's an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
I'm telling you, Sam Raimi
annoyed.
doing a Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah, man.
He has the comedic parts because there's a lot of kind of funny moments.
And he can do funny, gross.
Yeah.
Really hard hitting, but still somehow fun fatalities.
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw him do that in another movie, which is great. And didn't we talk about this when we watched Quick and the Dead?
Oh,
it was because Quick and the Dead was basically like Western Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. That's true.
Perfect.
Right,
Perfect.
Let's make this happen. What's that petition thing that you sign up?
The petition thing? Change.org.
Yeah. Let's make a difference in this.
Okay, let's do it. Well, moving on to our next story, which is Netflix is also acquiring an animation studio. Netflix is acquiring Animal Logic. This one was suggested by Andrew Keiko up on Facebook, so look for that. Next time I post something up on Rubber Round, I make these calls out for things, suggest some stories, post it up there, and we'll do that. Andrew W. Keiko, right? That was the name. Andrew W. Keiko.
Now, Animal Logic, known for their penguin movie, Happy Feet.
That's true. Animal Logic is an interesting group because, and this deal is also an interesting deal because there's a couple things about it that I find interesting. One, it is buying Animal Logic, but is not buying Animal Logic Entertainment. And Animal Logic Entertainment is a separate company. It's an offshoot company. That's the one that they use to make the Guardians, Legends of Ga'Hoole, the thing with Zack Snyder, which looked awesome.
Oh, the owls. Yeah.
But the owls, yeah. And it's that company where they're working with other directors to create their own kind of their own projects, their own IP. So they're still going to be working with other companies. They're working with Warner Brothers now. What's the Pets one? DC, it was Super Pets or something.
Oh yeah.
So that's what they're working on now, and they have another deal. I think they're working on one with Ron Howard. So they're going to continue doing stuff like that. But the Animal Logic, there's one in Australia, which I think is the source, and then they have another satellite studio, I guess, in Vancouver. Vancouver's getting a big upgrade, and they're hoping to upgrade the Australia one. I was trying to find out a bit more about this, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe the Vancouver upgrade, if maybe some of the stuff that's going on in Vancouver is going to be more for Netflix. That's just my
So this could be more
thought.
of like a more exclusive deal where they're probably strictly only doing Netflix projects.
No. That's exactly my point, is that they're not strictly, this is not Dynamo where they're purchasing 100% of the shares and they're, doing all that.
Yeah.
And they're buying the company and they're changing the name of the company. Animal Logic is staying exactly the same. Animal Logic Entertainment is completely separate.
Oh, okay.
So they have their own, thing that's completely separate from Animal Logic proper, I guess. So the deal is, I believe it is to help continue to produce their animated content, which sounds like they're going to double down on animated movies. Not double down, but I mean continue doing animated movies. They had laid off, we talked about this a few weeks back, they had laid off a whole bunch of people for animated series. But then here comes Sea Beast, which I just reviewed. It's great. We really enjoyed it. And they have some other things that they have up on their, Klaus was another really good. I think that they're having some success with their animated movies. And I think that this is probably a move, what I think the opposite of what Disney's acquisition was. Disney's acquisition, my crystal ball is for TV stuff. In Netflix's case, my crystal ball / partly reading interviews. Also, it sounded like they're talking about film, but they got a couple movies that are coming out. I mean, they got one from Nora Twomey. They got one from the Guillermo del Toro, Pinocchio, that we talked about.
Oh yeah,
a couple of weeks back. That's coming out to Netflix at the end of the year. So they're really doing more of these animated movies, and I think that the acquisition is just to have an inside. It's all to have an inside track. And I think that what they're probably looking at is Netflix is probably looking at, all right, we have to be a little bit more conscious about budget now. And so they're basically paring things back and trying to do it a little bit more classic productions, I guess, instead of just throwing money at it.
Yeah, this was interesting news because I thought it seemed like animation on Netflix was going to be kind of slowly phasing out. And I think we even mentioned maybe a streaming platform that is strictly just animation or something that people kind of go out to. So
yeah.
It seems like maybe they're just kind of like choosing carefully now, as opposed to just kind of like, I don't want to say that every project was just like, oh yeah, just dump it on there. It's animation. People like to.
I mean, they were throwing a lot of money at it, trying to get stuff going. They have this, they had a $350 million deal with Digital Negative that they had renewed just a few months ago. And that deal was the deal is to give a certain amount of work. I think it's actually to give a $350 million worth of work. I think that's the deal to Digital Negative, which is they do special effects, visual effects kind of thing. So they did, worked on Stranger Things, and they're going to work on Knives Out 2, which is going to go up on Netflix. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that they're just trying to get these inside tracks, and they're trying to go, okay, we have to have this this pipeline. Animal Logic is a very interesting company as well, because they had worked on a bunch of things. Originally, they were doing a bunch of ad work. That's where their bread and butter was. And I read this interview with the CEO who said that they were doing ad work with Gore Verbinski, came out to Australia and worked with them on an ad. And then they started to get into the visual effects side of things. And they were working on things like The Matrix. They worked on Moulin Rouge. They worked on 300. They were doing visual effects in those early days. And it wasn't until, I think, Happy Feet was their first. I'm trying to remember now.
I feel like Happy Feet came first.
Happy Feet came first. Because they were, you know what? That makes sense. Because they worked on Babe with George Miller. Who, by the way, just in case anyone doesn't know, George Miller did all the Mad Max movies. And then yada, yada, yada. He goes on to work on Babe, which is just this. And then from Babe, he works on Happy Feet. Happy Feet's the one that gets him the Oscar. Crazy. Yeah. But that was the thing. He works with Animal Logic, and then he goes to do Happy Feet, and George Miller approaches them, and they create this animated pipeline to create a fully animated film. And that's when the CEO, I guess, had determined, all right, I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to go off into this direction. Instead of doing visual effects stuff, I want to do more fully animated stuff. So they worked with Zack Snyder on Guardians, and then they eventually did, Lego Movie. I mean, everybody knows that. And they had always made their own stuff. They created these programs and plugins and all this proprietary stuff that they created for their projects. They sold a couple of them. They kept a couple of them. And the interesting trajectory that I was reading was that they were in visual effects. They decided a few years ago, basically just before the pandemic, to stop taking new visual effects work and just go into fully animated, creating IP. And then the pandemic hits, which you may recall put a halt on like all visual effects work that was new. There wasn't like new live action films. There wasn't a huge amount of live action films that were requiring visual effects. Any visual effects that needed to be done obviously went remote, and they were still doing it. But they made the switch right before this big storm hit. And then I guess they were working on a film with Netflix, and they created this relationship, and during the pandemic and everything, I read the interview, and it seemed like, oh no, we're just on the same path and we just get each other, and like, yeah, maybe, but also because you're not selling your entire company, you're selling this portion of it. It kind of gives some guaranteed work, and you have a partnership with Netflix doing these things that it feels like it's really in line with the things that he wants to do, and he can still continue working on other things like Warner Brothers stuff. I don't know how long he's going to stay CEO. There's some executives that are shaking up things over there.
It seems like it's weird because like with Disney and Pixar and Warner Brothers, I guess Warner Brothers to some degree, like when these companies kind of merge, I feel like they're all kind of like DreamWorks-y, as far as like films go, where the films don't look like they could link together the way Disney does or something. So it just seems
totally
like more of a risk of just having a variety of different styles and different things. So it doesn't give it like a uniform, stamp. Like, oh, this is definitely, you see Happy Feet, you don't know whether it's part of DreamWorks or you think it's kind of maybe Sony. So I wonder if there's ever going to be a kind of development like this where like a company is like, we want to have our Mickey Mouse thing. I guess Illumination's kind of doing that.
Well, I was just going to say, Illumination totally did that with the Minions.
Yeah. So everything else followed by that is kind of these round kind of looking characters that could, I guess, go together with Illumination. So, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing is that I think that's the idea is that they wanted to go that direction. All these movies that they were doing, they are working with other directors, right? I mean, Happy Feet was George Miller, right? 300, that was visual effects, but, go into Legends of the Guardians, that was it. Not Legends of Ga'Hoole, it was Legends of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole. Jeez. Anyway,
that's the one I got confused with the Guardians that we
Rise
saw.
of the Guardians.
Yeah.
There's Rise of the Guardians. There's Guardians of the Galaxy. There's so many Guardians. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so that you have that directed by Zack Snyder. Let's see, what else did they have? They had the Lego Movie, and the Lego Movie was Phil Lord and Chris Miller. So all these animated movies that they're coming out with, they're directed by outside directors, which isn't a bad thing. But you're talking about like an inside track. I mean, Disney creates this kind of unified thing, and it all kind of started with, I think we talked about it way back on the copyright episode. Walt Disney was like, what's the best use of this medium of animation, which had already been out for, a while. Like he was doing shorts and things, but we came up with Snow White. It's like, well, Snow White, public domain. Don't need to pay for it. Could do my own version, and it's a fantasy film. Great. Let's do that. Made the fantasy film. And then they were all fantasy. They were all like, magic, fantasy, fairy tale stories. That was the best use of animation. And he kept going down that road. And I feel like every time that Disney has kind of retooled things and refocused things, it's been, what are we doing here? What's this new era of stuff that we're kind of pushing for? What's the use of animation at this time? And yeah, they did look, relatively similar. You have some standouts during the Disney Renaissance that look very different. That kind of are, bigger offshoots of things that don't really look like they could have been different films. And that's where you get DreamWorks was coming in there as well, and was starting to make their hand-drawn animated series or animated films. And so it was kind of not muddying the waters, but it was kind of, which one is this? Is it this or is it this? And maybe that's the point, is maybe Animal Logic is looking to not necessarily develop something like Illumination where they're creating their own characters and pushing that kind of thing. I mean, maybe they are, but it seems like they like working with, outside directors and creating these properties, creating these IP that, one of them might hit.
Everyone's looking for that. Everyone's looking for those new Minions.
Everyone's looking for those Minions. Well, I mean, maybe. But I think now would be a good time to move on to the next one.
I'm trying to find a good segue to.
Well, everyone's looking for that IP.
That's
that
true.
New IP.
Yeah. And what better IP than Marvel announced in the San Diego.
Wait, are you telling people that you are moving on to a new story here?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna turn the page. Much like you would in a comic book, a Marvel comic book.
But
you don't even have to read them anymore, because you could just watch all their series that's coming up with Groot. Because, Baby Yoda, everyone loves Baby Yoda, so everyone likes baby versions of things. Baby Groot has a couple of shorts coming out, and he farts a leaf.
Okay. You know what? I gave you a chance. The story is San Diego Comic-Con is going on as of recording this podcast, and Disney Plus had a Marvel animation panel.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of people on it. There was there was the head of visual development, director of What If. There was some other projects, and you just brought up the I Am Groot, which, by the way, writer, director, and executive producer of the I Am Groot series, Kirsten Lepore, who was the animation director of Marcel the Shell.
Wow. The Shell universe.
Comes back around. Yeah, exactly.
Look at that.
I mean, she does and she also did the stop motion Adventure Time. Do you remember Hello Stranger, that thing that went viral?
Oh, yeah.
With she did that. That was hers.
Yeah, that's It's moving on up.
I've been following her career for a while. I remember seeing Bottle at, I think it was the first ever Vimeo Awards that they had in New York.
Yeah.
It was one of the first. I think it was at least the first. Anyway, so there was a bunch of stuff that they showed. There was I Am Groot, Spider-Man Freshman Year, second season of What If, and a creation of Marvel Zombies. That's the one that everyone's been talking about, and it was kind of hinted at in What If season 1, and then the one that blew everyone's mind, which was X-Men 97.
Yeah,
which is going to continue the animated the X-Men animated series from the 90s.
The one we all love. Oh man, I was asked that question the other day. What is your all-time favorite theme song? And I think that would have to be a top tier in theme songs.
It's so good. There are so many theme songs that are good. I mean, we had that Beavis and Butthead retrospective, and I just totally forgot about the theme song to Beavis and Butthead. I was like, that is so good. But I actually feel like only the beginning line is. Then the rest of it is kind of, it's bluesy and it's okay. But that opening riff is so good. The X-Men theme song, amazing.
Yeah.
Every time that you play those little Doctor Strange had this little moment where they played the da-na-na-na-na-na, and people in the theater just lost their minds, and I threw up in my mouth, and it was quite the experience.
Yeah, that was a nice little surprise in the Doctor Strange movie, but a little, maybe a little pandering. But why do you think they
a little?
Why do you think they went with the 97 aspect? I understand that was the most popular one, but why not take the same designs and just keep it as why throw in 97 in there?
I think, because it stopped airing in 97. So I think this is picking up where that series left off. I think it's a continuation kind of deal.
Mm. Now, I feel like the audience for this was above our age. Like, I remember my cousins being huge fans. We would all watch the X-Men together. We would point out who we were, and everyone just automatically made me Beast for some reason.
Did you say it was above our age?
Yeah, I think it was a little older than us, because I remember my cousins who were like,
oh no, man,
mid-40s now.
I think, I think you may have watched younger things because.
Yeah,
we've talked about this before because
cartoons.
Your round cartoons.
Oh, these are my cousin's cartoons. I always like G.I. Joe, and Transformers were my cousin's cartoons, and I would go to their house and watch that. But then I go home and watch Glowworms.
Yeah, no, man, it came out in 1992.
Yeah,
at late 1992. I mean, it's like. It came out basically the same time that Beavis and Butthead came out.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
It came out at the end of 1992. It was probably airing, throughout 1993.
Yeah.
I think maybe 1992. I don't know if that was like the pilot. I don't exactly know how that works out. But I mean, we would have been 10 years old, basically 9 or 10 years old. That's the perfect time for us.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I watched it from the very beginning all the way through.
I remember the first episode. I do remember watching it because I would watch it with my cousins and my
yeah.
But they had the most interesting character. Spoiler alert! Die off in the first episode. I feel like I remember Morph.
Sure.
Which I think it was Morph.
Yeah, it keeps coming back. In various iterations that they see, but it was Saban Entertainment which did
Power Rangers.
You'd see that logo for Power Rangers and everything. 1992 it came out, 5 seasons. It ended in 1997. And that's why they're, I think, picking it up from there. It
was one of those...
That last season was... I don't know if you remember that last season, but the animation is real bad.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God. It's really kind of... The designs don't look right. Everything's just a little off. It just looks really weird. If you go back and you revisit it, it looks really, really weird.
It was... I remember this cartoon and Batman, the animated series, being, like, very adult. It's
I mean, you can see I was just gonna say on the Wikipedia, it was listing things off because I was trying to see the list. There was a bunch of topics that they wanted to hit, and just in order: divorce, Christianity, the Holocaust, AIDS hysteria, feelings of loneliness. They hit really kind of like adult themes, but not always through the lens of mutation. Sometimes it was through the lens of mutation, but sometimes it was just straight up like a character dying, or characters splitting up, or direct religious persecution. It was all.
Now this one, Gambit's gonna get monkeypox.
Gambit?
I would say Wolverine.
Oh, no, mon cher.
Wolverine could just be cured immediately. We mentioned bringing back the Turtles series and keeping it in the 80s. I think we either talked about that in a podcast or when we were hanging out. But I think it is interesting. I just feel like throwing 97 there is kind of odd, but I don't know whether that just helps if they want to kind of branch out and do different years.
Well, it's going to come out in 2023, right? So 2023, you're looking at basically 25 years. It's a 25-year difference. It's kind of like, I always say this now that, now we're in the 90s. It's kind of like when I was a kid and I saw Happy Days on TV, I thought it was a show from the 50s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Same.
Because it's set in the 50s. I just thought that. It didn't occur to me that it was a throwback. And then you have in 2000 or whatever, you have that 70s show.
Yeah.
Right? I guess it started in the 90s and then it went to 2000. I don't exactly know when it came out, but anyway, you have that. Now we have this. Go back 25 years. 97, the 90s now is like what the 60s was when we were growing up, and then what the 70s became when we were leaving school and stuff like that.
Yeah. But does this
we're old now, Rob, is what I'm saying.
I know.
The 90s are retro. Can I tell you this? I was all right. Primal. I told you I've been watching Primal, and just got interested. I just started looking up more stuff about Genndy Tartakovsky, and I forgot that he did that Clone Wars thing. I mean, I knew he did, but I always forget about it because I don't really care about Star Wars. And I found it on Disney Plus. I was like, oh, I could watch this. I think it's like a mini series, right? So it's like 2 hour-and-a-half long thing. So it's like 2 movies essentially. And I thought about checking that out, and I went to go click it. I went to go put it on the thing. And I was like, what does this say? Star Wars Vintage? What does that mean? And then I went back and I looked, and they have Star Wars, the animation, the animated Star Wars. They have the Ewoks made for TV movie. They have the Ewoks animation. We're talking stuff from the 80s. Clone Wars came out in 2003. What the hell makes that vintage? Vintage?
Yep.
I hate everything.
That's my dad has a channel called Cozy TV. And it's all like Happy Days and Brady Bunch and all that stuff. And it's just so sad.
Friends is on TV Land.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
This is stupid.
Oh.
But it makes sense though. You have to go back 20, 30 years. 20, 30 years is
but
we're having these.
Are we going to care for it? People our age going to care to watch it? Or are we going to watch one episode, move on? And is younger generations going to look at that and go, it says 97. It doesn't.
That's the thing. If it is retro, 90s stuff is cool again. As long as they can make 90s a retro feel appeal to kids. Pixel art is still big.
Yeah, that's true.
As long as you can make it, rebrand it vintage. As long as you could rebrand it like that. All this 90s stuff is like, it's coming back around. People, I see stuff like this up on TikTok all the time from kids who I don't even know what it's surprising to me to see what kids think about the 90s, because I think it's probably like what we were born at the beginning of the 80s, but we don't really remember the beginning of the 80s because we didn't have long-term memory at that time. Things like we just had the 40th year anniversary of Secret of Nim, right? Just recently. Yeah. And by the way, Don Bluth's book came out. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did see it.
Yeah, it's like a memoir or whatever. I bought it. I haven't read it yet, but it's right there on my shelf. What else came that year? Last Unicorn came out that year also. Dark Crystal. I don't think we're going to get a Last Unicorn reboot or anything, but or Secret of Nim for that matter. But the point is that like in 82, it was the year before we were born in 83. But I remember watching both of those movies like constantly. And it was probably because, around that time, maybe it comes out on VHS. Most movies didn't come out on VHS, I don't think, until like a year after they had like a really long run. They like kept them for a while, and then they came out on VHS, and VHS was expensive until you could see it on TV and record it. That's why I think I've talked about this before. My parents would always, I thought I had HBO growing up, but it turned out that we just always got the demo, whatever. It was like a month long of like free HBO. And during that time, my family would record every single thing on HBO for that month. And so we just had these VHSs of movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why I saw all those.
We have like another house
I saw all those
VHS
things.
tapes. If you stack it up side by side, you could recreate my whole parents' house apartment with VHS tapes.
We're getting so hung up on this X-Men 97 thing. Yeah. Let's just continue on, because I feel like we could talk about this for a while. But
Spider-Man freshman year, which is a throwback to kind of the 60s comic, I think.
Yes, that's what it's supposed to be. But it seems like Tom Holland is not going to voice Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they want to try to make this canon with I guess the MCU, which I don't know if that's really necessary, but
I don't know.
Yeah. Design-wise, I feel like it looks like a fun like Saturday morning kind of throwback. So I guess between that and the X-Men, they're trying to do like this kind of retro look.
Well, it's funny because they announced Spider-Man freshman year is an animated series, but then they already announced the follow-up, Spider-Man sophomore year.
And Spider-Man the college years.
That's not even a joke. That's just, right, Spider-Man the college years. Again, Saved by the Bell also got a reboot. I mean, everything old is new again. That's what's happening.
And then there's What If.
What If, getting to season 2.
Which does that even matter?
Did you watch any of the What Ifs?
No. But I feel like it's just...
It does matter because all the What If stuff was then in a recent Marvel movie.
I guess.
They're doing this whole multiverse thing, which is just like, okay, well now I can't keep track of anything. It's hard to follow one character, and if there's all these different dimensions, then it really feels like, well then I don't know exactly what matters. Like if you kill off a character, does it really matter? At that point, there's infinite number of these characters.
Yeah. And then there's Marvel Zombies, which... So I know that Disney is planning on doing more. You know what I found out? Disney Plus in like England and other countries, they have like Pam and Tommy and like
because of Hulu.
Yeah.
So yes, in other countries it's about a distribution. They just kind of combine it together.
It's crazy. There's a spoiler alert
right
here. I don't know if the series has been out for a while, but there's a scene where Tommy Lee's penis talks. So you could see that on Disney Plus in England.
Isn't it crazy? They actually edited out what was the movie? Splash?
Yeah.
They like, have you ever seen that where they edited her butt out?
Oh, I heard about that.
She's running back. She's running back into the water, and they just put this. They put this really fuzzy patch over her butt. It looks really stupid.
No ass and splash.
I think what was that? Are you losing battery on your?
Oh, my fire
smoke detector.
Smoke detector, yeah. Fire alarm.
Yeah. So anyway, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. I mean, Marvel's doing a lot of things on that Hulu. Remember when we talked way long ago about there was Hitmonkey, there was MODOK.
Oh yeah.
There was all those animated things that were up on Hulu.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, they're just they're throwing it up on Disney Plus. Are you going to watch She-Hulk, by the way?
I might give an episode a try. I don't know, man. When it comes to the Marvel series...
You always say that.
I know, and I never do. When it comes to like the series, Marvel series, I'm really not like... I watched all of with... Oh, man, it's been so long.
I love making you flounder.
When they did like the old series.
It's really enjoyable to me.
TV Land kind of series.
Keep going. We just watched the movie too.
Yeah.
Get there.
WandaVision.
You can do it.
There we go.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well done.
But yeah, I mean, as long as Marvel keeps fighting, I'll keep watching. Fighting big monsters, much like the Powerpuff Girls. That was hard to say. Powerpuff Girls fought Mojo Jojo.
Nice.
And other monsters.
Nice.
Now, you said you weren't a fan of Powerpuff Girls back.
No, because this is kind of what I was getting at before, is that you said X-Men was before our time, for older kids, and I'm saying no. I think you just watched younger TV shows, because Powerpuff Girls, like I was already aged out of that when it came out. I didn't see a single episode of that.
You should give it a watch, because the fight scenes, first of all, it's pretty violent. Like, I remember watching it, and
I believe it. I've heard.
They were snapping bones, and originally they had a short film, a short called, they were like the Whip-Ass Girls or something like that. And then they, of course, changed the title to make it more kid-friendly. But in the show, there was like a lot of... really good cartoon violence. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because they're planning on doing a reboot with the original creator, Craig McCracken. Am I saying it right? Because I feel like I'm saying it wrong.
Yes, you are saying it right. I just expected you to say some joke.
But along with which I didn't really watch much of, but I did kind of like some episodes. Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends. Now, there's a weird thing with this, because Foster's Home has never been really a preschool kind of animated series, but now it seems like they're aiming directly for preschools, which I guess makes sense, because if you're any older with an imaginary friend, you are a psychopath, I guess. But Powerpuff Girls, they were planning. I mean, there's still, I guess, there's a live action reboot in the works. There's been a variety of different versions. I remember they came up with a new series that wasn't with Craig McCracken, and a lot of people weren't really fans of it. It just kind of looked off. The jokes didn't really hit, and the violence wasn't great. They made a lot of changes to some of the characters. So hopefully this kind of brings back the original style of it.
You didn't say, by the way, that Andrew Keiko shared this story.
This is a story by Andrew Keiko shared on our Soch.
Yes, exactly. I mean, so I didn't see it, but continuing off of that X-Men 97 thing, Powerpuff Girls came out in 1998. And so, again, just to put you in this space, we just talked last week about Beavis and Butthead. It ended in 1997. South Park comes out in 1997. I was watching South Park. 1998 comes out. Powerpuff Girls I was not watching Powerpuff Girls. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that like that's where my head was at, because I was even saying that I was aged out of Beavis and Butthead even by the time that thing came out. I just kind of like, I think you get self-conscious when you're younger, or maybe you didn't, but I did, about what you were watching. And, that was why I think it was an early time when I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles still. Obviously, that was still going on. And I think it probably stuck with me that I got a little bullied for still watching TMNT past the point when kids, I guess, should be watching it or like playing with toys or something. And I made a pretty hard turn to looking at anything that seemed like it was this is like a kids show or something like that. And I turned pretty hard to that. I didn't have younger siblings. I had a lot of younger cousins.
Yeah.
But I guess I did, I babysat, I guess, when I was in high school. I don't know. I kind of was looking around that time as XYZ is a kids thing. This is for babies.
Yeah.
And then this is for, this is for like, older kids.
I think
I was very aware of that kind of thing.
I mean, I've been animating and doodling for a while, but like I started like kind of animating more on when I was like 14. So I guess like around that time, I was still looking at kind of silly looking, easy to draw characters that I can like imitate, stuff like that, like Dexter's Laboratory, and like it was the kind of cartoons that were for kids, but there was a kind of like, I think I was old enough too to kind of know the grown-up jokes that they were kind of throwing in there. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, it's a great idea, fighting crime before bedtime. Like it's the idea, that little tagline, the characters. I think there's also something. I mean, I could totally see. I don't think I would go back and watch the show from 1998. There's a lot of things that are very dated tonally from 1998 that would have hit then that maybe don't hit now. I don't really have. I'm watching a lot of stuff. I don't really have the time to go back and watch. It's not that. I might watch the movie, but again, if it plays only for fans of the series, then I might watch the movie. You're gonna have to get me to watch the movie if this will be your task.
Maybe I'll find like a round of.
We still have to do the Space Jam.
That's true.
Which I also didn't watch.
Maybe I'll send you a compilation of the best Powerpuff Girl moments. Do I sound like a brony? Anyway, did you know there's a link between the Gorillas and the Powerpuff Girls?
Oh, what is it?
So in the movie, there was a little nod to the Gorillas because that's when the Gorillas was kind of coming out around 98.
Oh yeah, totally.
Now, not their recent album, but one of their most recent albums. One of their characters went to jail, Murdoch. So they needed a replacement for him. And it was Ace from the Gang Green Gang, who was one of the bullies in the Powerpuff Girls.
Nice.
So it was interesting that they kind of used a cartoon character from an IP to play in their band with them for most of that album. Just thought that was a little fun. Powerpuff fact?
A power fact.
Power fact, yeah. Power, yeah.
There you go.
A puffy fact. Puff fact.
A puffy, yes, okay. No, I mean... Totally. I like that. I think it's great. I like Craig McCracken. I will say Foster's Home for... we actually talked about this on the Muck Putty interview. Yeah. When we interviewed Muck Putty, I just looked it up. That was back in episode 106. Talking about like starting out, and a lot of it was programs. I mean, I talk about how I started in animation, and it was a lot like... Yeah, I did. I saw animation. I took like, this little like summer, not even a summer course. I took like, one of those day courses. It was like, here's how you animate, that kind of thing. And then I learned what I could. I did the whole tracing things on TV. I'd like pause it and then I would step forward, which would jump forward like, a half second. So I'm skipping over all these images. I like accidentally drawing keyframes, but not keyframes because it was just randomly chosen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I'm trying to learn animation because I like it, but not for a career thing. I just wanted to tell my own stories. I wasn't like an actor. I made these little short movies at home and stuff, and I've kind of gone through it all. I feel like we've talked about this before. It wasn't until when I was in college and someone had pointed out, you could just make, like, people use this program to make cartoons, and you just use that. It's like, I don't know. I thought, my thought was like you needed a lot of like expensive equipment to animate on the computer, not just CG, but like to draw stuff. I just figured it was just going to cost a lot. And then when I found out that Flash and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was animated in Flash, it was one of those things. My big inspiration, but when I started was it was Attorney at Law, Harvey Birdman.
Oh yeah.
And Home Movies. Home Movies was animated in Flash. Harvey Birdman was animated in Flash. And I was like, oh wow, you can get some really good stuff off of this program. So I started using that. And when Foster's was out and just seeing all of like the great stuff you could do in it, it's like, oh well, you could really get some really nice cartoony, like high quality stuff, and that was done in Flash. So that just kind of like kept me going down that path that I had kind of started down. Yeah. And that was one of the things that Muck Putty had cited as one of their inspirations of,
you could definitely
use this
see
program.
that.
You could like really do stuff. Yeah, because what they were doing, they were already doing stuff like that, but they say that they got a hold, quote, they got a hold of one of the project files. Won't say how, but the big thing was their lip sync.
Yeah.
That they got a hold of that, and it was like, that was it. That's the missing part, was the way that they were doing lip sync, and it all kind of like connected. And there's some, Craig McCracken has a huge impact on animation, has a huge impact. Aside from me not watching these shows, I can, obviously as an animator, I can be aware of the impact that he had. I just didn't watch these two particular shows. I did watch some Foster's for inspiration. I didn't go back and watch Powerpuff Girls. But same thing, I didn't watch Samurai Jack either. I've tried. I think I watched the pilot and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep. Like, and I didn't hate it. It just, I thought it was a different type of show.
Yeah.
It's great. I think these two properties probably make sense to bring them back. And if you're going to do it, you got to do it with the creator.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's been,
it's actually on that note, Gendy Tartakovsky, when he brought back Samurai Jack with that, it was a final season, right? With that extra season of Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
Or was it a movie? It was a season, right?
I think it was like a mini series or something, but
a mini series. Okay, yeah, fine. But he came back to tell a story. Is my point?
Yeah. So it's good. I like when the original creators are involved, unless they're John Kay. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think, it's good.
Let's read Andrew Keiko's thoughts here. It says, Craig McCracken is rebooting the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. This will be the former's fourth reboot, as the live-action CW Powerpuff Girls series is in development at the same time as this one is, and will feature old and new villains. The Foster's Home reboot is conceived for preschoolers and will feature new characters in a new setting while telling stories in the same Imaginary Friends world. I was actually surprised that it was for preschoolers. At least that's I didn't think it was.
Yeah.
I think you told me that it was kind of like, it's skewed younger, but
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I guess they couldn't really do it with the Powerpuff Girls, because then the cartoon violence wouldn't work as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Oh, what? You hear that?
Yeah, that's a familiar sound.
Oh, no. I've moved 3 times, and this damn thing followed me.
It's haunted, I think.
It's another Axe by Fax. Ooh. It's been a while.
Yeah, look at all this dust
since we've
on
had an Axe by Fax. You know what? It held up pretty well for having. I don't know how many years it's been now, but
it's so 80s. It has.
I didn't bring it.
Shoulder pads.
The Fax.
Yep.
No, 90s are chic now.
Okay,
So it's got now it's elastic waistband. It's a multicolored windbreaker.
Backwards cap.
Trapper keeper.
Shades.
Let's read this.
Oh yeah.
Max here. Wait, hold on. Pick it up here. Okay, there we go. This says from Wayman Singleton. How you know?
Wait a minute, you have our contact info. Why are you faxing us?
Single man. That was his first, right?
Oh yeah, his first battle.
Animation in the battle? Yeah. Would you rather, this is the question, would you rather only be able to watch every episode of your favorite animated series and nothing else, or only be able to watch the last episode of any animated series you're interested in watching? It's a good question.
Now, does this mean like an animated series that hasn't ended yet, but you have exclusive access to see the ending?
No. I think I think you're thinking too much about it. Let's say sure, but I think the idea is you can either only watch one series for the rest of your life, no other animated series, or you can watch any series you want, but you can only watch the last episode, the final episode of any series you want from now until you die.
Okay. Oh, so it'd be like just one series of something. That's a tough one because I know. Feel like on one hand you could watch that series over and over again and maybe spot different things.
Right. Yeah.
But the last episode kind of sums up everyone's characters usually in something, so you get to kind of learn about them in a
maybe, but counterpoint. Sometimes the last episode sucks.
That's true. And then you're kind of curious. I'm like, oh, wait, what started this whole thing?
And you can't watch it. You can't go back.
Yeah. And also, it's very limited. And does this mean like... All right, I'm going to go with the decision on this.
Okay, do it.
I'm going to say same series of my favorite show every episode.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Why?
Because at least these are characters and stuff that I know.
Well, okay, so that's... Which show would you choose? Let's go with that one.
I mean, I guess I would go with The Simpsons since there's so many.
That's a good choice. You got to go with something that has a lot of episodes, a lot of content that you can watch. That totally makes sense. The Simpsons makes sense. I think, going off that Bob's Burgers, I think Bob's Burgers would be good. South Park, also very long-running show. Makes sense that you could watch that one as well.
That's true. Even though a lot of it's kind of dated when you watch it.
Now here's a trick. This is my question. I don't know if you tell me if you think this is allowed or not. Can you choose kind of like anthology collection series like Looney Tunes?
Ooh. That is a good question, yeah.
Right? Because then you can watch any of those animated shorts from any era, including all of the reboots.
Well, maybe it depends on the director. You could only watch Chuck Jones.
So you can only watch Chuck Jones.
Or Tex
That's actually
Avery,
not bad.
Or Bob Clampett.
That's not bad. I am going to take a shot in the dark here and say, as a creator, as a professional animator, I guess I should say director now, but I don't know. I haven't directed for a while. It's same thing. You're an animator, you're a director. It doesn't matter. You're working in animation. As an animator, I feel like watching only one series from now until the end of time would be a little rough on me. Because the thing is, it's not the only, at least I'm playing by this rule here, it's not the only show that I can watch. It's the only animated show that I can watch, right? I can watch any other TV show that I want. The thing is, I'm not able to watch any other animation. I guess I could watch movies.
Yeah.
To get some of that kind of thing, because it's not erasing all of the movies that I've seen or all the TV shows I've seen. I might prefer to watch the last episode of any animated series that I want. Then I can continue having that kind of inspiration. I can continue being in the know.
So it's almost like you're watching
of other animated stuff,
little movies.
But I don't really need. I don't really need. I guess.
Yeah, that's true, and it updates itself because future programs are going to have the last episode of something. So even if you don't know what it is, I guess that is a better option because then you can it is telling as much story as possible to send these characters off in a good way. And sometimes they fail at that, but sometimes they really hit a home run with it. But yeah,
totally.
I changed my mind.
I just looked up. I just looked up the 10 greatest cartoon series finales. This is on Watch Mojo. There's Steven Universe, Regular Show, Samurai Jack, Phineas and Ferb, Kim Possible, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Adventure Time, Futurama, Gravity Falls, and then Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is all these. And then honorable mentions, BoJack Horseman, X-Men, the 90s X-Men, Justice League, Spider-Man, the animated series from the 90s, and Danny Phantom.
Yeah.
If you put it that way, and also I'm looking now on Collider for 10 best cartoon show finales that still hold up. They got Adventure Time on there. Amphibia, I'm not sure about that one. Okay, a lot of these are the same. King of the Hill, Star Wars Rebels. I never saw that one, but yeah. And hey, if you go by your rule, you could watch the finale of a show that hasn't finished yet. You could be the one to know what the finale of The Simpsons is.
I don't know why I picture me in some deserted island where I can't contact anyone, and this is all I could do is watch these things.
You can't share it.
Yeah, so
it's tough. It's tough. This is a tough one. If I could watch only every episode of Looney Tunes, because hey, listen, you go up on HBO Max and you type in Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
It gives you the collection of Looney Tunes. That's all Looney Tunes. I might say I might go Looney Tunes. I could get enough inspiration and enough stuff from that for the rest of my career. But if I can't do that, and it has to be like a show, like a series, I gotta do finales.
Yeah.
Finales of any show.
It's a good variety.
Especially if I get to maintain or retain all the memories that I already have over my decades of watching TV.
That makes sense.
Interesting question.
Yeah, but you also have to wait till the actual finale happens, and then it's not like you can get automatic access to it and just know it.
Right.
So you could die before The Simpsons ends.
Ooh. Oh, I see. Yes. Interesting. Well, thank you, Wayman, for sending this. I mean, you don't need to send stuff like this. No. You don't need to do this. You don't need to send this stuff.
Waste of paper.
I threw it away. I don't know why I threw it in my room because I have to clean that up, and you can't hear me throwing it. You can hear me ripping it. That's very odd. But you can't hear me throwing it.
It was entertaining for me to see.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm here for you. Yeah. Is what it is. Well, listen, you don't need to do that. You can send me messages anywhere. Rubber Onion everywhere. Okay. You know what? Actually, I can share that information in a minute, because that'll do it for this episode of the Rubber Onion Animation Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us for another segment show, a variety show. This is great. I mean, I guess you could say it was one of our better balanced of the segment shows recently. We did a movie review. We did animation news. There was even a trailer in there, although we didn't talk about it. And then we had an Axe by Fax. That damn fax.
Yeah, you should get rid of it. Back in fax. Back in fax. I said the facts.
Get back in facts. Well, I'm going to hand it over to my friend, fellow animator, and co-host, Mr. Rob Ufo. Tell them how they can follow you on the internet.
At Rob Ufo on Twitter. And, I guess on Instagram and TikTok and all that other stuff. Yep, I'm throwing in TikTok there like an old man trying to stay relevant. And what else? Oh, yeah, I am working on that Beavis and Butthead Akira mashup.
It looks so good.
I showed a little sneak peek to Mr. Brooks here, and I'm excited to share that. I think this is gonna be a good one. Stuart Brooks, how about you?
Well, you can follow me everywhere at Rubber Onion, and I mean everywhere. If there's a social media thing, if there's a whatever, just search Rubber Onion, and I'll be there. And that is the point that I was trying to make about this Axe by Fax. Is you could just send me a message there and ask a question. Every once in a while, when we're going to record these shows, I ask for stories about what people want us to talk about, and I'm collecting these. Also, if you become a patron, you can send it there, and that's where. Oh no, he faxed it. That's right. But you could send a message there. on Patreon. And of course, we will get to it. There's a preference, obviously, to the things that are shared on Patreon. So if you really want us to talk about something, you really want us to deal with something, post it there. But I will put it out on Facebook. Or you can throw it into the comments section or use the contact page on the website, which I am still rebuilding. It's going to take me a little bit of time, but that'll be that. Hashtag Rubber Indian Podcast is the official hashtag for the podcast. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Thanks. This was fun.
Hashtag.
Next week, we should have possibly, maybe, I believe so. It depends on if Rob will actually see these movies, but we will probably have a review episode, but of 2 movies. And it'll be Marcel the Shell and Mad God. Yeah. So if you want to watch those movies, Mad God is up on Shudder. That's it, right? You got anything else to plug? Anything else?
Yeah.
That's it. Listen, we got to go because it's time to start work. We recorded this early in the morning so that we could get this out of the way, and now we're like butting right up against. We got work, man. It's work time.
Yeah.
All right. See you next week. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.